You have no idea how happy it makes me every opportunity I see a good chance to use Death Dealer ae. So, right here we have Roana just for our basic healing, Sharun for the spreading of venom and for the occasional buff stripping, and Death Dealer ae to utterly make this fat team absolutely miserable. So, what we're fighting is an ae-KARINA, a Sage Baal, and a Belian. So, like, hey, what's the big, like, huge thing in between these three units that's just annoying as fuck? Oh, they're all tanky and big HP bruiser boys. Well, pretty much with the exception of, like, ae-KARINA. She more functions off of defense, but like anybody worth their salt, they usually run her up in, like, some obscene kind of bulk as well. And, hey, it's completely understandable. But the one thing in particular that I decided to bring is Death Dealer ae. Now, one other thing that can work is if you wanted to, you could bring Ilanav into this, but the only problem is you're still dealing with an ae-KARINA. ae-KARINA can actually do a metric shitload of damage to you, especially if she happens to land a Death Break. So, if you don't want to deal with that kind of risk, you can just go triple Soul Weaver, and it absolutely works. The biggest threat is actually going to be Sage Baal if you don't have enough effect resist, because if you don't have the effect resist, he can just control you with, like, sleep and shit. But if you have, like, confident effect resist, and you know you're not going to be completely, utterly controlled by a Sage Baal or something like that, yeah, let the Carnival of Terror begin.
I guarantee it.
Pop. So, Belian's dead. Thankfully, because of all the wonderful injury damage that has accrued onto her, because Cloud of Death, being the incredibly based skill that it is, deals damage to the unit based on the amount of injuries that they've already accrued. So, the next Cloud of Death, if I happen to get it before that Baal dies, he's dead now too. However, that doesn't happen because this slight mistake right here, because I tend to forget, like, oh yeah. The ae-KARINA will only proc if you hit her, or hit her allies, whenever they are lower than 50% HP. But yeah, I tend to forget that every now and then, because I keep assuming, like, oh, the additional damage happened, and then so the ae-KARINA didn't react, so I can ignore it. Yeah, that's the big thing that you want to at least try to always keep in your mind if you ever don't want to get fucked over by an ae-KARINA, for something if you're ever just not paying attention to it. But that's about it. Oh, hey, looky there. If one Cloud of Death really fucked you up, what's your hope against two? God, this team is so fucking evil. And the only thing that could actually make it worse is if I had a means of putting a solitary on the team. But like in Guild Wars, it's just a little rough to find the room for that because you're down a healer. But either way, on to the next fight. So here we have a Kayron, Spirit Eye Celine, and then an Apocalypse Ravi. So I decided to fight that with a Dark Corvus, a Senya, and then also a Magic Scholar Doris. Oh hey, looky there, that's one crit already. Nice anti-crit, Senya. You're doing the Lord's work. So, I don't really have a lot of great options to go into this, because I'm expecting, oh yeah, counters are going to go crazy, I'm going to be hit with a Ravi, I'm going to get injured. I just knew a lot of bad shit was going to happen. I was hoping that I would be able to tank enough with, like, anti-crit, so that I wouldn't have to really worry about this. Oh hey, look, that's number 2. So she's been hit 3 times and been crit twice. Wow, this is already looking wonderful. But then right here, I made a small mistake. So, if Kayron is ever at 1 HP, and he already has Immortality, if you hit him again, it does not proc Immortal Will. It like I thought it did for whatever reason. I think I thought like that was one of the things that was bad about him. But yeah, apparently if he ever does... Oh, hey, look, that's another crit. But if he ever has Immortality, and then you hit him when he's at 1 HP or whatever, yeah, Immortal Will does not proc. So I have to wait for him to go to get rid of that Immortality, which he did. So now he has already procced Immortal Will, because you see the dodge chance on it. So I took my chances and decided, okay, so let's just go ahead and delete the Celine, because Celine's biggest weakness is additional damage. And hey, look, another crit. Holy shit. That's 4, and bam, that's another crit. So that was 5 crits that went into Senya, all at pretty much 50%. Fuck. So, yeah, the game didn't want me to use Senya. Okay, that's fine. I respect that. So, in all honesty, we were able to kill Spirit Eye Celine. That was the most important thing that Senya had to do. And then we also got rid of Kayron, so now all we have left is Apocalypse Ravi. So the worst thing that can happen now is we take too long to build up our meter on Dark Corvus, and he's too injured to where we can't kill. However, like, even with like a little bit of injury, this can still do 18k. The A-Ravi had 15k right here, so that's, you know, just enough to go ahead and pass through. And Shazam! We win! Ooh, woo. So, let's go on to the next fight. So here is just some typical, like, speed cleave kind of shit. A little odd for me, but, like, hey, whatever. So I know that the Zeo is going to go into Ed. He has the highest speed, so he's the first one going to be hit. Now, here's something I absolutely did not know. Because Cidd, doesn't he have element advantage on his S3? Or is that if he has speed buff? I honest to God can't remember. But basically, if he has element advantage, wouldn't he have gone into Ed? I don't know. If anybody in the comments happens to know that, please feel free to correct me on that. But either way, so he goes into Destina, did almost nothing because one, he had attack down, and yeah, he might have had like, I don't know, he might be a speed based hero, but like still, he went into my Destina. My Destina's tanky, and I have Arowell with me. Who cares? And the Vildred did almost nothing as well. If anything, the Vildred probably did the most damage out of the entire team. And then right here is the other big point. So yeah, that didn't break my shield on my Arowell. So I'm already cautious looking at this, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is an effectiveness Zeo, isn't it? And lo and behold, it is. Because, yeah, that level of damage on a Zeo is very, very bad. You should at least be seeing, like, follow-up attacks in the 6s to, like, 8Ks. At least that's what I usually see if they're ever going into my tanks. But, yeah, so, yeah, because of that, I immediately, and I was like, oh, okay, so you only had 2 damage dealers. The Cidd was unimpressive, and the Vildred wasn't really that great either. So, going into this team with really any mitigator at all, bam, you're 100% in the clear. And that's the end of that fight. So here is where I wanted to give an attempt. Hey, let's try out Ocean Breeze Luluca into Peira. Now, normally I would fight this team with a Celine. I just decided, hey, let's just say we don't have Celine right now. So let's actually see how well we can tank it, because I hated Summertime Iseria way back in the day. I would never fight it. I would always do cheese shit to it. So in this particular instance, I thought I was going to cut with Summer Breeze Luluca before the Summertime Iseria was able to go. I was wrong there. So maybe if I had a little bit more speed on my Luluca, maybe I would have been able to cut. Either way, whatever. So here was the one biggest gamble that I took. That is Sword of Cycling Seasons. So it did 14k, but fortunately for us, we already had 3 stacks of will. At least I think it was 3. It was either 2 or 3, but I think it was 3. So we have a metric shitload of defense, we have death buff, and we were getting hit by a Sword of Cycling Seasons attack buff Savior Adin. So that's pretty good in terms of like taking the second turn on like full damage. Now, normally if you wanted to like do this really, really cheesy, you could easily just replace the Shadow Knight Pyllis with like Dark Corvus or whatever, and you'd be 100% fine. Because Dark Corvus just like farms anything that has like Savior Adin and shit in it, because he's getting hit constantly. He'll build up S3 and then he'll just delete the unit. But here, I just wanted to try it because one, I do like using Pyllis. It's just Pyllis against Savior Adin, you are running a gamble. And the gamble is this Savior Adin that you're going into, is she going to be like an absolute like damage monster? And this one kind of was. I think I've been hit by harder in the past, but then again, I came into that with a lot of will and death buff at the start, so maybe that was an absolute damage monster. It's very possible it was. But either way, now that we've taken care of the Savior Adin, 100%, the whole fight's actually over. So what I wanted to try and do was, if I was not able to land another provoke, just to showcase the cycling that Summer Breeze Luluca would have against this particular comp. Because Peira and Summertime Iseria is actually a fairly dangerous... They're a fairly dangerous duo. But like with Luluca on your team, you really have almost nothing to worry about. Because one, anytime Peira goes into you with like the S2, S3, you're then going to immediately gain 2 extra focus, and if it's at the very beginning of the fight, you'll cut... Well, in theory, because I know a lot of you guys are running way faster Summer Breeze Lulucas than I am. Mine's still really slow. I decided to go the bulky route. But yeah, you'll cut, you'll have death buff, and then you'll also be able to cleanse all the debuffs that the Iseria might be able to do. However, that's not necessarily true, because like Summer Breeze Luluca only cleanses 2 debuffs, so if that's a Peira that's like a Giga Chad doing, unbuffable and restrict and stuff, you might still have a bomb on you if you don't have like a lot of effect resist on your whole team. But yeah, either way, it worked out very well. In the next fight, we're going to use Summer Breeze Luluca again, but we're going to go into the thing that I hate the most in this game. Hey, look, it's Ran. And it's also an RNL Ran. But just Summer Breeze Luluca by herself here, and if you just have any form of tank that you're confident with, just any at all, like if this wasn't a Savior Adin, I could have brought any other tank. I just brought Pyllis for the sake of tanking, and right here, because of that Magic for Friends proc right there, and because I countered with the Roana, and then it led to a Magic for Friends, 100%, we're 100% free. Because I don't know what the Savior Adin is running. This one's running Moonlight Dreamblade. So either way, I do Ice Cream Truck, I miss, I still have to get hit by an attack buff Savior Adin. You just never know what you're going to get. It's always a huge random occurrence with whatever the fuck's going to happen. So because of that was not Sword of Cycling Seasons, she lost a shitload of damage, and we were able to get a really strong hit with the Savior, with the Shadow Knight Pyllis, because we had a few stacks of will, we had Death Buff, but we did not crit. So if we were to crit on the Savior Adin, that Rocket Punch, like S3, would have absolutely killed her. Now, she's so low on HP because, hell, we just went into her with one hell of a fucking hit. like multiple stacks of will, Death Buff, and Rocket Punch. Any hit would kill her. Which is why, I didn't even bother. Yeah, I'll just go into you with an S1. I don't give a shit. Even if you counter, whatever. It'll just kill you. So now all we have left is Ran and Mercedes. So here, I'm just like, okay, so how can I have some particular fun with this match for the sake of testing? I went into Ran just to see, okay, how much kind of thickness do you have? Okay, so now he's one hit away from dying. So this is where the games begin. My goal, ultimately, is to kill the Ran with Summer Breeze Luluca's Ice Cream Truck. That's what the plan is. That's the plan. And I could have done it right here if, I wasn't stupid. I could have gone into Ran with Roana's S1, and then bam, this would have killed him with the Ice Cream Truck. But, you're dealing with a literal retard here. So let's go ahead and we'll move on through the match, and we'll see how we deal with it further down the line. So I've already missed my first chance to try and kill Ran with the Ice Cream Truck. Didn't work, but hey, we have a few more turns to go ahead and go through things, because Ran will eventually use his S2 again. That gives us a lot of focus with Ocean Breeze Luluca, and also there's any possibility that Mercedes could go into Ocean Breeze again, and you could get a counter attack. If you get a counter attack, because I have her on counter, you'll gain 1 focus for every 1 counter that you do. But either way, so here, we haven't killed Mercedes yet, so we'll just go in, we'll delete her right here. Bam. So now we have to go into her one more time. And I think Ran's turn's coming up where he's got to use an S2 again. At least I think. Like I said, I don't even care about winning at this point. I just I have to kill Ran with the Ice Cream Truck. That is my goal. That is my goal. So, ultimately, yeah, we got that nice big boost there. And we have... Okay, so we're 1 focus away. So now it's Pyllis' turn. We can kill Mercedes. So here is the deciding factor. Mercedes is gone, and we have heal on Roana. So that's a non-attack skill. We'll go in and we'll waste this turn. Doesn't matter. But then we have just enough speed on Luluca. She's going to be next. And because of that, we're going to S1 into Ran. And guess what, boys?
Whenever, wherever. That's the Luluca.
That's the Luluca way. I'm an idiot. Okay. So now here is a Conqueror Lilia Senya shoe. Pretty typical kind of stuff. We see it all the time. So one thing in particular, this shoe is actually pretty thick. If anything, I'm kind of impressed how thick this thing is, because one, I'm rocking a Mediator, Kawerik, Lone Crescent, Bellona, and Destina. That's also Warhorn. And I have imprints on the Mediator Kawerik, so I have a shitload of attack on my Lone Crescent Bellona. She's strong. Really strong. And normally, whenever I go into these kind of comps, I do a lot of damage to the shoes. This doesn't do that much. And I'm rocking Golden Rose just for a little bit more damage as well on the hit, because I had more than 50% HP. So then that only did 10k. So yeah, now I'm like thinking, oh damn, this is a really, really tanky shoe. And it kind of makes sense. That looks like it didn't do as much damage, so maybe she has like a fair bit of defense on her. I don't know. But we're still okay right now. And the one thing that I could have also done is instead of bringing Destina, just for the sake of safety on my Lone Crescent Bellona, I could have brought Shuna, because Shuna is like she's a really, really great bait for Shu. I just decided to bring Destina because she has, you know, CR push on her S2. I have Guardian Ice Crystals on her, so anytime I'm low on health, they'll gain the HP back. More than likely, Lone Crescent Bellona is going to be the target for a lot of these. But hey, we were able to just manipulate the CR bar just enough. We didn't get like hit into with Shu like through drag with Conqueror Lilius, and Shu is dead. So now that Shu is dead, we can kind of just go into this team willy-nilly. And of course, with my incredible luck, I'm pretty positive that the Senya does get some def buffs occasionally throughout this fight, so it just makes it even more annoying to hit her. Like, it's either a def buff or maybe I honestly thought I thought the crit resist was a def buff. Maybe. Who knows? I'm dumb, guys. But either way, we got to our next turn of Mediator Kawerik. He's able to get his cleanse off. And the best thing about Mediator Kawerik with Lone Crescent Bellona is if you're ever going into a Senya, you never have to worry about the S3. Because that's the biggest threat that Lone Crescent Bellona has. Now, there is a way to deal with it. Because with Lone Crescent Bellona, if you use her S1, she'll give herself immunity. And if you have immunity, then you don't have to worry about getting blinded. Because that's your lose condition. If you get blinded on Lone Crescent Bellona, your odds of getting killed are astronomical. But of course, because you're also dealing with Conqueror Lilius, you're also dealing with buff reductions with her S3. Because, LOL, balance game. But because we don't have to really deal with that, because Mediator Kawerik's there, we can just kind of go into whoever as we please, because, you know, Lone Crescent Bellona auto-crits. So, yeah, I ain't playing your anti-crit game, which always works out so well in your favor, CPU.
Which of my powers would you like to
And with that said, I believe I have my S3 on my Lone Crescent now. Let's just go into Senya, knock her out, because, like, look at the damage here.
You belong in the pit.
Sure, we have a couple of stacks of Wax and Crescent, but, like, hey, either way, this team felt kind of tanky. And with that said, will the day ever come whenever I am free from this terrible burden? And with that said, that is the Guild War. And one thing in particular that I was actually kind of like surprised about was SG recently edited some of the audio that like the characters were saying. Apparently that was in the patch notes a couple of days ago, but I mean, I don't really read patch notes for like presentation QOL. I only really read them whenever it's, you know, it's the big balance change patches. So I was very, very pleasantly surprised to see that, because Mediator Kawerik, for way too damn long, his audio was way too low to the point where you couldn't fucking hear what he was saying. Sure, you could hear him in my videos because I was actually boosting the audio so that you could hear him, but thank God they actually did that. I'm very, very thankful for that, because that's something I absolutely thought was never going to happen. I just didn't think it was ever going to happen, because I mean, I haven't been paying attention, but is Astromancer Elena's like voice line still overmodulated? Feel free to let me know in the comments if she is or not. I really can't remember, because I remember that was one of the biggest like horrible things about her, because like Zio's still overmodulated. I believe Archdemon wow. I'm all over the place. Apocalypse Ravi, I remember her skin had really bad overmodulated lines, but hey, yeah, feel free to let me know if they fixed any of those other ones, because, yeah, the only two I noticed were Lone Crescent Bellona and Mediator Kawerik, but hey, guys, just do some more editing on some of the other voice lines, because some of them are a little meh, and they need to be, like, touched up a tad. Like Sharun, for example, she's too quiet. I think she needs to be boosted. And on that note, let's go ahead and I'll wrap this up with one quick thing. Hey, let's create a discussion topic real quick. Hey guys, what's your favorite RPG that you remember as a kid, or one that just left a profound mark on you? Me, it's Grandia 2. Best game. Absolutely loved it. But hey, if you made it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you guys would leave a like. It does wonders for my mental health. And if you want to see more of my content, go on ahead and hit subscribe. Hope you guys have a good one.